Please join me in prayer. As we know together that there is only one life, that divine life springs forth from the source of all creation that we call God, we call Allah, we call Spirit, but it's beyond all names. I know that each one of us is an emanation of that Spirit, an extension of God's love, an extension of Spirit's peace, an extension of the divine wisdom of the universe. And so we welcome Spirit's guidance here this morning. We welcome Spirit's inspiration as it unfolds through Diana's message this morning. And we give thanks for the healing and the inspiration and the joy and the understanding that each one receives. And in this moment, realizing my connection with all of humankind, I take a moment to honor those who perished in the 9/11 attack 21 years ago, and all the humans that have perished since then and are still struggling even today. So we take a moment to acknowledge the suffering of humanity at this moment. We recall these events with sorrow, and yet we know deep within our heart of hearts that there is no need for this suffering. As we remember our divine origin, as we remember that we are the love, life, and peace of Spirit in human form, I have faith that humankind begins to wake up and live from that sense of peace, that sense of unity, that sense of love. And that love is what we are celebrating here this morning in beloved community. So I give thanks for each one here, for the heart of seeking that each one brings, for the wisdom that each one brings, and for the love that each one brings. And so we celebrate our time together, knowing that it unfolds perfectly, powerfully, lovingly, and joyfully. And we anchor that into being by saying together, and so it is. So it is. Amen.
Thank you, Chris, for setting a beautiful space for our time, beautiful honoring. My name is Reverend Diana Johnson. I don't see anybody new here, but if you're with us online this morning, I'm the pastor and spiritual director of Mystic Heart Spiritual Center. And I'd like to welcome you home to our beloved community, and I'd like to welcome you home to your own mystic heart. So we begin our Taizé this morning. Our Taizé meditation service is a time for you to go inward, to listen deeply, both to what is coming from outside of you and, more importantly, what is happening inside of you as we move through this time together. So we begin this morning with our Taizé with a chant. It is called Beloved, and you will catch on.
You are beloved just as you are, here in this circle of grace, shining your bright, radiant light, free to be you in this place. We are beloved just as we are, here in this circle of grace, shining our bright, radiant light, free to be us in this place. I am beloved just as I am, here in this circle of grace, shining my bright, radiant light, free to be me in this place. Free to be us in this place. Free to be you. Free to be you in this place.
That's wonderful, Chris.
Joining our voices is always a beautiful way to acknowledge ourselves as part of a community. We begin our Taizé this morning by recognizing and realizing our oneness with the global community. So join me, if you will, if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, to settle into the Taizé, and envision with me a web of consciousness surrounding and infusing our planet. Seeing and feeling ourselves to be radiant points of light in the web, knowing that every human is a conduit of that same light. Every creature, every plant, every rock and grain of sand shines with the light of Spirit. And as we look around, we notice that the soil is alight with Spirit. That the water, the clouds, even the wind, and the heavenly bodies, all enlivened by the divine spark. The light that you are is enmeshed with the light that I am, with the light of all creation. Sensing our oneness, we acknowledge our stewardship. We commit to caring for one another, for all life forms, for the planet that sustains us all. Rooted in our oneness, we center our hearts in this month's theme, Beloved Community. And we shift our attention now to the title for this morning's gatherings, The Times They Are A-Changin. I've heard it said that the only sure thing is change. Even as life can feel stagnant at times, we know that in truth everything is always in flux. Even now, in this moment of stillness, each of our bodies is changing in ways that are imperceptible. Yet we depend on our body's ability to change and adapt for our very survival. And we depend on the community of organs, systems, and cells of our bodies to work flawlessly together, each one dependent on the others. each one fulfilling its purpose, so that we might thrive. At the most basic level, life exists as a vast array of interdependent communities. We, as human beings, are not created to live in isolation. In order to thrive, we all need to be part of a community. It is in community that we find a sense of belonging. We find people with whom we can share our gifts and our life's journey. Mystic Heart challenges itself and its spiritual family to support one another in going deeper than simply being part of a community would require. It has chosen to become a beloved community. The meaning we intend by this phrase shines through our stated purpose. Let's take each of these statements into contemplation. Let them speak to you. We endeavor to live physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually empowered lives. We endeavor to bring our most authentic selves in service to others. We endeavor to honor and experience the divinity of all beings. We endeavor to experience the miraculous nature of our world and everything in it. We endeavor to recognize and live from our unity. And we endeavor to practice love in order to bring peace to our world. Our vision, practicing the possible through prayer, is the most expansive picture of who we are calling ourselves to be. Our mission answers the questions: How will we make our vision a reality? And what tools will I discover to support my journey? And so the mission reads, living from our divinity, we empower our lives and create loving and authentic community through study, service, celebration, and prayer. Our purpose gives us specific goals to work toward in our lives. It paints a picture that we can refer to as we live one moment to the next. So now we take the affirmations given in the statement of purpose one by one. And in the first person, noticing whether they ring true as an ideal for you. Do they resonate? I endeavor to live a physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually empowered life. I endeavor to bring my most authentic self in service to others. I endeavor to honor and experience the divinity of all beings. I endeavor to experience the miraculous nature of our world and everything in it. I endeavor to recognize and live from my unity with all of creation. And finally, I endeavor to practice love in order to bring peace to our world. So one must ask inwardly, at the soul level, am I ready for beloved community? Is there some way that beloved community can enrich my experience of life? Because being in community means two things, at least. First, being in community means to belong. Not to belong to, but to belong with. To be related to and a part of something. Second, it means acting as a creator and co-owner of that community. What I consider mine, I will build and nurture. The work then is to seek in our communities a wider and deeper sense of emotional ownership. This can seem frightening sometimes. Do we want to invest ourselves in community, knowing that in an ever-changing world, communities sometimes fall apart? Do we want to take the chance, commit our energies and resources to something that may not last? Do we want to experience the vulnerability of bringing our authentic self into community? Are we willing to have others depending on us? In other words, are we willing to offer ourselves in sacred service and the circulation of our financial good? These are all good questions to consider. But we must remember that it is the risk-taking, the commitment, the willingness to be vulnerable and authentic, and the sharing of our energy that makes being in community such a powerfully supportive experience in times of change.
There is only one life. That life is spirit, and that life expresses in an infinite variety of forms. All of manifest creation springs from the same eternal source and remains connected with that source. We are not individuals separated from each other, from Mother Earth, from nature. We are individualized parts of one life. We learn to live into our unity by building community, by gathering into tribes, joining clubs, worshiping together. Although we are essentially one with everyone and everything, it is easier for us to feel our oneness with like-minded people. The purpose of joining a spiritual community is to grow our experience of that oneness. We practice unconditional love best where we feel safe. We practice vulnerability where we feel secure to risk our authenticity. We grow best when we sense it is okay to miss the mark, that we won't be judged, when we feel we are free to ask for help. And where we know that the help we offer others makes a difference. Our brother Jesus instructed us to love your neighbor as yourself, and even to love your enemies. But many of us struggle with truly loving people unconditionally, except for those closest to us. We need to start where we are, loving ourselves and then expanding outward to include more and more. Our beloved community facilitates this growth. In this time of blessed communion together, we focus on our heart area, feeling the love and radiating that love outward, letting our love spiral out to include ourselves, our family, our friends, and our beloved community, and then out into the world. We are all conduits for the infinite, unconditional love of God. We can never run out. And all that we give returns to us, for that is the nature of love. As we enter the silence, continue to radiate your love and feel it coming back to you, filling your heart. This is beloved community. Returning our awareness now to this time and place, we continue to bask in the love of Spirit, in the support of beloved community, and the joy of living into our unity with Spirit and with all of creation. We are grateful for this time of blessed communion and mutual love and support. Thank you, God, for everyone and everything. I invite you now to know with me that Spirit is moving powerfully through our spiritual community. Individually and collectively, we are a powerful spiritual influence on our world. And as we evolve in consciousness, the benefits of our growth ripple out, blessing the entire world. As we lovingly receive Reverend Diana's inspiration this morning, we give thanks for the devotion of our beloved community and for the stability it gives us on the spiritual path, even though the times, they are a-changin'.
So how might we approach our participation in beloved community? There are two practices that can be helpful. First, seek to enter this or any community with presence of mind. Be aware of how you feel when approaching a new person or group of people. What energy do you feel coming from the person or the space? What energy are you bringing into the space? Are you relaxed or anxious, energized or complacent? What are you feeling? And what are your motivations for approaching a new community? Do you have any expectations or preconceived ideas about how your experience will be? Presence of mind means practicing authenticity and tuning into basic self-awareness. The second practice that can be helpful is to come with and from curiosity, humility, and care. What are our true intentions as we interact with others in the community? We may be entering with the best of intentions. And are we assuming the best intentions in others? As we interact, are we speaking honestly and listening deeply, seeking to understand in a genuine way? Are we deeply curious about others and the group as a whole? What's it like to be you? What's it like to be a part of this community? The times they are a-changin', and so are we all. Each of us needs to find a tribe, a community, to share in this journey that we call life. You are each invited to find love and support in beloved community at Mystic Heart at any time, and in any way that brings you a sense of connection and belonging. All are welcome in this place. This place where we know that there is only one life, one beloved community, and that God, Spirit, the infinite presence, is that one, expressing itself as all of creation. And so I know that each and every one of us is giving Spirit its fullest expression of what it's like to be us. I know that as we step into beloved community, we are reminded of our divinity, just as we are encouraged to come into closer contact with our humanity. I'm so grateful to have such a place and such a beautiful group of human beings as a part of this spiritual community. I'm so grateful for each and every one and the uniqueness and the gifts that each one brings. The sense of connection, the sense of friendship, a sense of compassion, support and love for one another. I'm so grateful to truly feel at home. And so with deep, deep gratitude for all that is unfolding in this community and around us, for all that we are doing in the world to support our greater community, and for each and every person who is currently and will be drawn into community here, I give thanks. Deep gratitude. Knowing that it is unfolding in Spirit's right time, in all of God's perfection. And so I welcome and accept it here and now, simply as it is. Knowing that it changes and grows just like everything else. And so we release this prayer, trusting it to do its work, knowing Spirit takes it and makes it so. As together we say, and so it is. Amen. So it is time for us to close the Taizé portion, our meditation portion of service today. And as we do, we offer the opportunity for you to share of your financial abundance, should you choose to, in support of the work that we're doing in the community. If you're joining us online, you can go to mysticheart.org, find our donate button or our mailing address. And we thank you sincerely for every gift. And so as we offer that time for the giving, we offer you our song of the month. Join us if you'd like. Oh, switch microphone.
Come, Holy Spirit, come. Come and fill us now. For you are Show your mercy and your grace. Come and fill us, Holy Spirit, come. Come, Holy Spirit, come. Come and fill us now. For you are welcome in this place. Show your mercy and your grace. Come and fill us, Holy Spirit, come. Come and fill us, Holy Spirit, come.
So we just say thank you for every gift that is offered. Every gift of your time, your talent, your skill, your treasure, your love, your service. It's all received with the same kind of deep love with which it is given. And so I say thank you to the one source that allows the flowing of these gifts from source to source and back out again. And so we release this blessing, trusting it to do its good. And so it is. Amen. So, in case you don't remember, we have coffee out on the front porch in between. The restrooms are, you know where those are. We start the second half if you choose to come back and have some conversation to go a little deeper around this idea of beloved community. And all of the money for coffee and lunch donations today that happen either out front or later are going to Farmer's Footprint. We're saving toward our first $100 contribution to sponsor an acre to be regenerated within the coming year. So we thank you for all of your love and attention and gifts. Have a beautiful Sunday. Maybe we'll see you back at 10:30.
May your soul always find what it's looking for. May your heart always lead the way. May you live in peace and harmony, and may love always fill your day. May your path be strewn with happiness. May success find you everywhere. May you always embrace compassion and grace, and may God always answer your prayer. May you always embrace compassion and grace, and may God always answer your prayer. Good morning and welcome. Please join me in prayer. As we center into this prayerful space, remembering that there is only one thing going on, that is Spirit expressing in, through, and as this beautiful late summer morning, in, through, and as this gathering place, in, through, and as each person here, knowing that as spiritual beings enjoying a human experience, we have access to all the qualities of Spirit because that is who and what we are. So we welcome those qualities in this morning. We welcome in the qualities of divine inspiration, divine truth, unconditional love, the peace that passes understanding. All of these flow to us into beloved community this morning. And so I give thanks for that knowing. We are reminded this morning, September 11th, of the attack on the World Trade Center 21 years ago today. So we take a moment in reverent silence for all those who suffered loss at that time and all those who have suffered loss since then and are suffering loss even today in places around the world. So we take a moment of silence to respect. And while we remember these events with sorrow, we do not let that sorrow dim the hope and faith in our hearts that humanity is evolving past the need for violence, evolving and spiritually growing into a peaceful race, a peaceful species that loves and respects one another, that loves and respects the earth and all beings. So we give thanks for that love, for that hope, for that faith. And we let that hope, we let that faith guide us this morning as we enter into conscious conversation regarding beloved community in these changing times. So knowing that this morning's gathering unfolds perfectly and powerfully, joyfully, lovingly, I simply release, I let go, I let God. And we anchor this into being by saying together, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Chris, so much. Opening our space with such beautiful prayer and honoring. And I'm going to invite you back up because we have some music. The man of many hats, practitioner of the day, musician, techie,
Picture hanger.
picture hanger. That was before you got here. All right, so we begin every week. Good morning. My name is Reverend Diana Johnson, and I think I know almost everybody here. I'm the pastor and spiritual director here at Mystic Heart Spiritual Center. And so we welcome you. We welcome you home to our community. We welcome you home to your Mystic Heart. Because all of your answers, that's where you'll find those. So we begin with music every week, so feel free to join in. Lyrics should be up there. They are in.
Welcome to the Mystic Heart. Join the celebration. Lift your voice and sing your part. Make this affirmation. Spirit made us family with loving hearts to share. Together we are joyfully practicing the possible through prayer.
And everything's possible through prayer.
Welcome to the Mystic Heart.
Okay, if you're not up on your feet yet, the invitation is extended again. Here we go.
Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light. Everybody meet. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah.
All right, so every month we add one song that's just going to be so for the month, and it kind of fits our theme. So join us as we come together.
Take a look at the person next to you. Say God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me.
We come together.
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 We come together
In the name of love. We come together.
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 We come together in the name of love. A little bit of change in the words.
Now look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Now lift your voice and repeat after me.
We come together.
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 We come together in the name of love.
We come together.
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 We come together in the name of love.
From every walk of life,
Walk of life,
every creed and color,
creed and color,
we reunite in
honor of the good in each other.
Take a look at the person next to you.
Say namaste, I bow to you. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. And lift your voice and repeat after me.
We come together.
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 We come together in the name of love.
We come together.
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 We come together in the name of love.
We come together.
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 We come together in the name of love.
We come together.
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 We come together in the name of love. And that's what we do. Thank you for joining voices. It just gets things moving. Switch microphones here. So good morning.
Good morning.
I feel better, do you? Yay. So each week we begin our conscious conversation with a ritual. I find that in New Thought, what they call New Thought Ancient Wisdom tradition, sometimes rituals get lost. And so we begin with a ritual each week. And we acknowledge our oneness with all that is and recognize the power of our unity. So I'm going to invite you to start. We will get into conversation in a few moments, but I'd like us to start, if you're comfortable, closing your eyes or not, settling into your seat, and taking a couple of nice deep breaths to ground yourself, to fully arrive in this space and this time. And now as you continue to allow that breath to cycle through you, if you feel comfortable doing so, I invite you to actually stand up and ground yourself in your place. Embodying our connection with Spirit, rooting our feet to the earth, and feeling that energy move up through our feet and into our bodies, out through our limbs and out the top of our head, and just the free flow of Spirit grounding us here. Embody the power of creation with your full felt sense, because we are preparing to create a new story for our world, or to assist in the co-creation of that story. Hold with me the vision of a love-soaked world where peace, joy, abundance, generosity, justice, and freedom are the guiding principles, the principles by which we live our lives. Where all human beings practice loving kindness and compassion, and care for our planet as the sacred home that she is. We are creating a world where all needs are met, where all beings have plenty of nourishing food, the safety and comfort of home, medical care, education, healthy relationships, right livelihood, creative contribution, and a sense of deep and powerful belonging. We are creating a world where all beings are valued for their inherent goodness and light, where the peace we cultivate within shows up in the world as an absence of hatred, as an absence of violence. We're creating a world that knows no greed, where there's absolute abundance and simply having enough, where every being deserves and receives all that is needed to experience a rich, full, and contented life. In this more conscious and conscientious world of our creation, every member of the human family serves as a vessel through which God's blessings continually flow. And so, with this being so, there is no reason that we cannot have such a world. We call it forth, knowing that it's taking form right here and now, as we hold and speak our powerful vision. In every moment, we align our actions to support and nurture its graceful unfolding. We call it good, we let it be, we see it done, and so it is.
So it is.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Such a beautiful ritual that we hold together each week. And sharing in ritual is a powerful tool for transformation. Another tool we have at our disposal is our conscious conversation, which is what we're about to enter into here. This morning our topic has been at the Taizé, and continuing forward, the times they are a-changin'. And boy, are things changing fast right now. Seems like it to me anyway. Our challenge is to hang on and enjoy the ride. Hang on and enjoy the ride. So what are some of the things that you are doing to enjoy the ride? Open floor. Shout it out.
Accepting change.
Accepting change.
Coming here today.
Coming here today, and welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Enjoying life.
Enjoying life.
Being okay with the change.
Being okay with the change. Playing in the dirt. That's one of mine.
Barbara Redan says archery.
Archery. Barbara Weedan, thank you.
Playing in the dirt, AKA gardening, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I'm a gardener. Okay. Playing in the dirt by itself is fun too. So, evolution just keeps on keeping on, right? So how are you making a positive imprint on the future? Because anytime that we're enjoying the ride, bringing joy into the journey, we're making a positive imprint on the future. So what are some of the ways you're leaving a positive imprint as you move through your days?
Smiling at everybody.
Smiling at everybody.
Opening doors.
Opening doors for people.
Sending love wherever I go before I get there.
All right, sending love out ahead of you.
Letting people in traffic.
Letting people in traffic.
Good man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not always easy for folks.
Yeah, and if you got a whole cart full of groceries and somebody behind you's got one thing, you let them go first.
Oh, letting somebody with fewer items go before you go in the grocery line. Nice. Simple things, huh? It doesn't really take a lot. It does take our awareness and our willingness to not put our own ego wants and perceived needs first all the time. I believe that sharing in beloved community is a powerful way to contribute at a grassroots level. Because through beloved community, we're doing many things in the community. We know that we create in the microcosm, right, in the small here, and that's reflected and projected out into the bigger, greater community, our immediate community, and the world. As we create peace and connection and belonging in our lives, so will it appear in the world. Because, like the old song says, we are the world, right? It's us. We're the ones we've been waiting for, all those cliche things, but they're true. They might be cliche to listen to, but they're also true. So we're taking this month to really give a clear picture of who we are at Mystic Heart. We realized that when we began, we had a community that helped support and create and grow us, and then many of those folks went on their way, and many new folks have come. And we haven't really restated, like, who are we and what we're about and any of that. And I thought it was time, and this month we're doing that through our Sunday services. So we want to give you a clear picture of Mystic Heart. We'll look briefly at our vision and our mission and our purpose. Our vision and our mission we talked about last week, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on that. But then the agreements that we've made with one another, the things that we agree to hold as true in beloved community for this community. This won't be this week, but next week we'll be looking at what do we believe about higher power, that which we call God or spirit or universe or intelligence or presence or source or Jason. It doesn't matter what you call it, right? It doesn't matter. But what, Angela, I got her. That's fun. It doesn't matter what we believe, but it's probably good for people being here to know what we believe. And actually, it's printed in your bulletins. They're available if you don't already have one for the month. You can pick one up on your way out. So during this morning, I got lost here, we reviewed our vision and our practicing the possible through prayer. That's our vision. So we'll put the slide up maybe. And we called this vision the most expansive picture of who we're called to be. So it's kind of the big umbrella, practicing the possible through prayer. That's pretty big. Because if you're practicing the possible, what do we believe is possible?
Anything.
Anything is
And
possible.
everything.
Everything is possible. And so we're practicing knowing that and experiencing that in our lives. So we reviewed our mission, which addresses how we plan to make our vision a reality. And it offers tools to support the journey. Living from our divinity, we empower our lives and create authentic, loving community through heartfelt study, service, celebration, and prayer. The very first phrase in that is a whopper. Right there. That's a lifetime worth of work. Right? Living from our divinity. So what does it mean to you to live from our divinity? What does that look like, feel like, sound like? What's it mean to you?
To me, is knowing that I'm God, and through my eyes, God experiences everything.
Okay, so knowing that you are an expression of God, and through your eyes, God experiences everything it's like to be you.
Right.
And interact, as you. Okay, good. Anybody else?
And then remembering that in our interactions with our daily interactions with people,
You mean I have to remember?
only 24/7.
Remembering that in our daily interactions with people, yeah.
Trust and being trustworthy.
Trust and being trustworthy.
Recognizing the divinity in others.
Recognizing the divinity in others. So we start with our own, but then it's not just about us, right? Sometimes we want it to be.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one. It is.
Remembering even your ex is divine.
Remembering even your ex is divine.
Now you're pushing.
Oh, we found Bob's growth stage.
This is an area of growth. This is an area of growth. Work in progress. We all are.
Yes. So I'm in a hurry. I'm running late for an important appointment. Trying to drop off a deposit at the bank on the way to class. Don't want to be late. When I left the house, nothing had gone right. When I get to the bank, there's 6 people ahead of me. There's one teller. I'm watching my watch. Nobody's moved. What does it look like to live from my divinity in that moment?
Take a breath.
Okay, it might look like leave the bank, go to class, do it later. That's one way it could look. No?
Ground yourself and realize this too will pass.
Okay, ground yourself and realize this too will pass.
Lines are a great spot to meditate.
Lines are a great spot to meditate. There was somebody I heard, I don't remember the name right now. Oh, I think it was Eckhart Tolle, actually.
Oh, I love him.
He said when he's in a line, he thinks this phrase, I am, what is it now? I just lost it.
I am in joy.
In joy, that's
with-
what it is. I am in joy with myself.
In myself.
In myself. I am in joy in myself. I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying myself. But it's, I am in joy in myself. That's another way. Yeah, Bob?
Live in the present, not the past or the future.
Okay, so stay present. Just be with what's happening right now. So I'm driving down the road. There's a man walking down the center line. He's not moving toward the edge. So I slowly pull around him and give him plenty of space. I look in my mirror to make sure all is well. And he flips me off and cusses me out. This actually happened. What does living from my divinity look like?
Laugh.
Send him blessings.
Laughing, sending him blessings.
Ram him with the bus. No.
So, grab a bus driver.
When I'm in situations like that, one of the practices for myself is that I remind myself that I have no power and no control over anything outside of myself.
Mm-hmm.
All I can control is my reaction, what I do in that situation, and do what I can do, which is to control my choice at that point. So if you're in the line or you're in that situation, you can get mad. You can choose to, flip them back off. You can choose to get aggressive. You can choose to huff and puff in the bank and say, I can't believe they only have one teller, like everybody always does. Or, or you can decide this is outside of my control and my power. What can I control? Me. What do I need to do to, I need to leave. I need to move over, accept the situation, and take responsibility for your own actions. That's it.
There you go. Living from my divinity, taking responsibility for my own actions, my own thoughts, my own responses versus reactions. Because you really
realizing that both the bank employees or managers and also the guy who flipped you off has their own volition and is allowed to behave in the manner that they decide that they want to behave in.
Everyone's allowed to behave in the way that they choose to behave. We believe that how we behave brings with it circumstances, consequences, whatever. And Michael, and then
Cheryl says, oh, well, it is their problem. Just continue on my life.
all right, oh well, their problem. Just continue my life.
What I found out is I used to get huffy and puffy because people didn't do what I felt they needed to do. And then I read somewhere and it said, I'm not happy with this, but I still accept it as it is and move from that point. It's made a big difference in my life. I don't take things personal anymore. I just go, well, it is what it is, and I accept it.
Yeah.
And I move on.
And for myself, I find the less attention I give it, like staying with it after the fact, I mean, what use is that? It's just dead energy.
Who knows, too, is we don't know that other person's story.
Right.
And a long time ago, I picked up this funny practice that I do where if someone's rude to me or the waitress just doesn't come back or, whatever it is, I give them like a whole backstory that I imagine. Like, oh, they got up this morning, the alarm didn't go off, they ran out the door, they probably when they dropping off their kids, it must be so stressful to be them today. And I give them like this whole story so that I give them forgiveness and compassion rather than expect my needs to be met by a stranger.
And you take perspective. You are able to be psychologically flexible enough to see that your perspective isn't the only perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What's it like to be them?
What's it like to be you? Like in a real sort of way.
I went to Hilo and there was a waitress there and she was being really rude. And I just thanked her, gave her a tip, and just blessed her, said blessings. And for years I always saw her and said hi. And one day she sat down and she goes, that my son died the day before and I wasn't in a good place. And you were the only one that was kind to me. And I love when you come in here.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. I just figured I'd send her love.
You gave her that grace to just be who she was, dealing with life the way she needed to in that moment. And we all have our moments, right? Anybody in this room not have moments where you look back later and say, oh man, I wish I had done that differently. I know I still do.
Words back in your mouth.
Yeah. So both our vision, the vision and mission that we hold here, they're tall orders. They're tall orders to call people to look at that. Now, we're not calling people to be perfect in doing those things, because we're all human beings. So this is a safe space to practice going out in the world, coming back and having family to share with, to practice here in community. I still do things. I came in this morning in a state that was not where I wanted to be. It is what it is sometimes. So we have our statement of purpose. We're going to look at it bit by bit here, break it down. So let's take a look at some slides with that. So this is how we delineate what we're up to. We endeavor to live physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually empowered lives. So look at that particular sentence. What does that look and feel like in action for you in your life? How do you know that you're endeavoring to do those things, or that maybe it's even working some of the time?
Perhaps you feel at peace with what is going on.
Okay, so you might feel at peace with what is going on.
When I work these principles,
Mhm.
and I try to do it, no, I don't try to do anything. I work at it every day, and I smile all the time now. I mean, you ask Diana, I used to be the most miserable, looked like I was going to die in the spot. I just looked like I was going to cry. I looked like I was dying right there on the spot. Wasn't it true?
It's true.
And I was horrible, and yet I thought I was happy. And now I'm not that way. I let everything go. I forgave everybody. I forgave myself. And I'm in this community. And I mean, I smile all the time now, don't I?
You do.
And I'm happy, and I do those physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. I work every day at doing all four of those things.
Taking care of business.
Yes.
Remembering to forgive ourselves.
Remembering to forgive ourselves. That's a big piece of that. Yes, April? I see something about to come.
Well, as soon as I read it, I thought, okay, so it says we endeavor.
Right.
Okay. That's a thought out action word,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
It
And
is.
what does it mean to each of us to think about undertaking an endeavor? You know, like,
Good question, because each one of our purpose statements starts with "we endeavor."
yeah.
So what does that mean?
You don't just
We
walk
make it a
out the
goal.
door and endeavor.
Okay, so we make it a goal,
You have to plan it out.
We might develop a plan.
might develop a plan.
But an endeavor implies kind of a journey to me, so it's
Okay.
kind of like there's a process.
So there's a process
It's not
and a
like,
journey.
Like from what, it's not flipping a switch.
Okay, it's not flipping a switch.
It's making a decision to do it.
Okay, making a decision to do it.
And if you're gonna undertake an endeavor, you don't just walk out the door how you are and go do the thing. You would collect some tools or some things to take with you
We
along
need
the way.
tools to do these things? Aha, okay.
I can't really endeavor much right now, you know. I would need some things.
Right. And you're right in that we chose that word very carefully. It wasn't just it popped onto the page. Spotted you.
It has no end point.
It has no
It's an
end
ongoing
point.
process.
Ah, spiritual journey, the journey of life, whether we're looking at physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, is a journey that does not end.
I am sure.
Okay.
So the second one that we hold, as we kind of keep that in mind, we endeavor to bring our most authentic selves in service to others. What's that look like in action? Bob? Yeah.
What we give, we receive.
Okay, so we give openly, that's what we receive back, right?
And we give without expectation.
We give without expectation. That is sacred service.
Take our masks off of who we pretend that we are, and we be ourselves.
Okay, take off the mask and be yourself. Yeah,
Also, I don't think we endeavor by accident.
we don't
We
endeavor
have
by.
to do it intentionally.
Yeah, yeah. An endeavor is something intentionally undertaken.
So if we want to bring our authentic selves, we have to put thought and intention
Right.
behind bringing that out into the world.
Okay, thought and intention behind bringing our authentic selves.
Reflection about who we think we are and reflect
Ah.
on what makes up our personality and
Okay.
maybe how it got there.
So starting with internal reflection about who we are, who we think we are, who we, in the world, who we seek to be.
And coming to a place of acceptance and realizing that that person has something worthwhile to share.
Yes, absolutely. Coming to acceptance of that person that we know ourselves to be as something worthwhile to share. Every one of us does.
I think your most authentic self, in that I feel like that takes a lot of courage as well.
It takes a lot of courage.
To bring your authentic
Yes.
self without the masks and the
Right.
social acceptance and the cultural stuff, and no matter what it is, to be brave enough to accept your authentic self enough to be
Right.
that, to bring it to others.
Absolutely, because it's a little bit vulnerable feeling to do that. Yeah, Chris.
And being okay with the fact that who you present yourself to may not be necessarily the right audience.
Right, exactly. Not everybody's gonna love you or like you or wanna hang out with you. Neither will you like to hang out with everybody. That's part of finding a community where you do feel comfortable and at home.
Well, I think whether or not you're loved by those around you, I think that it's important to realize that that you are always in love,
You are.
and that person that you are is loved.
The person you are is always loved, and is always love in action. It's true. So the next endeavor, we have, six endeavors. Our third endeavor, we endeavor to honor and experience the divinity of all beings. Honor and experience the divinity of all beings. It is a serious endeavor. How do we do that? What's that look like?
Like being aware of our thoughts.
Okay.
And being aware of whether we're judging somebody.
Okay, being aware of our thoughts, our own tendencies maybe toward judgment.
Accepting people for who they are.
Accepting people for who they are.
Listening.
Listening. Yeah, deep listening. Listening doesn't involve keeping my mouth shut long enough that I can say the thing that's going through my head while I'm not listening. That's not listening. But we all do that at times.
I think Jesus said to love your enemies and bless those who persecute you. So maybe there's a conscious. I find that if I consciously think of how would I bless somebody that really drives me crazy.
Right.
You know,
How would I bless somebody that really drives me crazy? Yeah. How would I want someone to bless me when I'm driving them crazy? Because again, it's not just everybody drives me crazy. I'm sure I drive lots of people crazy all the time.
I think Gary said earlier, it's not about flicking a switch. So I think in some cases, there's a process. You need to get past your own hurt before you can begin to see that.
Yes.
So you also need to give yourself grace
Mm-hmm.
to go through that process.
So you give yourself the grace to go through the process of healing your own woundedness, finding your own challenges, stepping authentically into yourself beyond that, but only as you're ready. Yeah, giving yourself permission. That's that same love, but it's turned inward, right? Self-love gives us the grace.
Also, that harkens of not taking things personally.
Not
but
taking things
understanding why
personally.
you may have taken it personally,
Right.
or know that you've taken it personally.
Okay, so know you've taken it personally, but seek not to. Realize it's not yours. We endeavor to experience the miraculous nature of our world and everything in it. What's that look like?
Enjoying life.
Enjoying life.
Recording in progress.
Recording in progress. What he said.
Case of records are always watching.
Perfect
And it is
timing.
happening.
Oh
It's
my
being
God.
recorded.
Really? I'm hearing myself again. How's that happen? Every now and then we get an echo in here. So do you take the time to do this?
Yes.
What's
It's
it?
easy on vacation,
It's easy on
It is.
vacation.
in a park somewhere.
It is, I'll vouch for that.
So what are some of the ways that you take time for this?
Meditation.
Okay, meditation.
Observe.
Observe.
Observe with curiosity.
Observe with curiosity.
Taking walks in nature.
Taking walks in nature.
Listening to the birds.
Listening to the birds.
Walking the dog.
Walking the dog.
Hugging grandkids.
Hugging grandkids.
Sitting on the beach listening to the ocean.
What about, plugging in an appliance, a vacuum cleaner, flipping a switch that suddenly makes the thing come on when before you did that? Wow. Or turning on a knob and having a hot shower.
Sounds like gratitude to me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love
So
gratitude.
practicing gratitude for
Yes.
things is a good way to do this? Yes? No?
Well, I usually see at work the sunrise and the sunset, because I work 200 years every day. So I get there, and the sun is barely coming up, and I see like a lot of people they're checking their tires, they're doing this thing, and
They miss
they
the
look up.
sunrise.
And every morning I watch it come up, and usually in the evening I watch it go down, and I pay attention to the sky all day. And even though I'm left and right and doing all the things, that's how I will constantly bring myself back to I'm still in the world. And like
Yeah.
I have this saying that like we're not standing on the earth. She's holding us up.
Yes.
So why not
Supporting us.
take a moment to appreciate that?
Right. Talk about the miraculous nature of everything. The world is holding us up. Yeah. We endeavor to recognize and live from our unity. This kind of goes back to that living from our divinity thing. Right? And we endeavor to practice love in order to bring peace to our world. What's it look like to practice love? That can, as many of us as there are, what does that look like for you?
Acceptance.
Acceptance?
Being in tune.
Being in tune?
Not flipping that guy off back.
Not flipping that guy off back. Yeah.
Being patient with everyone.
Being patient with everyone.
And ourselves.
We're part of everyone, so patient with ourselves.
I'd go back to what I believe Chris said a moment ago, the curiosity of who others are versus immediately jumping to our perspective or judgment about them.
Yes. Curiosity about others. Instead of getting caught in our own perspective about them, our own judgment of them.
And instead of assuming people's ill intent, assume that they're doing the best they can.
Oh, that's how you
Yeah,
forgive
yeah.
people.
So instead of assuming ill intent, assume good intent. Assume everybody is intending what they are doing for the highest purpose and reason.
And I would say that's the only assumption we're allowed to make.
That is the only assumption, because before that assumption came up in my writing, I almost said, don't make assumptions. And then I went, well, wait, there's one assumption that I think can be helpful. And it doesn't always mean our assumption about that is correct, but that doesn't matter. It's our willingness to grant that grace to another that's important.
And it changes our response.
It changes our response, takes it out of reactivity. It makes us responsive or responsible. So Mystic Heart's an independent spiritual community. What that means is we have no rules and regulations or other guidelines from which we began this community, other than a group of us got together and started talking and read a book together and had a study and talked about things like integrity and compassion and kindness and our values, what were important to us. Our principles, our spiritual principles were in there as well, but they were guiding principles for the rest of it. We don't have a particular theology that we practice. We welcome everyone from any spiritual walk of life that they're following, because we believe that there is really one set of principles that kind of runs through all of it. And so one of the things we have free choice about in our lives is what spiritual path we choose. And we can still be spiritual family and support one another and love one another if one of us is a Buddhist and one is a Christian and one is a Hindu and one is a pagan, and it just doesn't matter. So it's the principles of love and respect and compassion and our understanding about the way things tend to work that are the glue that hold us together. So as a result of all the discussions and all of that, we did that for several weeks. Oh, did you have something? I'm sorry.
I did.
Okay.
I started to listen to your list of spiritual traditions, and yet there's atheism in the world.
There is
and
atheism
that must
in the
be
world.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming that is a spiritual tradition in and of itself.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
And so to be able to
Right.
embrace and be with that and the
Yes.
beliefs and thoughts that are associated.
I agree. Yes, atheism is a path, a viable spiritual path. So as a result of all of our discussions, we made some agreements that have given us a framework for how we behave and how we interact with our community. So I'd like to share them briefly this week, and then next week we're going to dig a little deeper into these. But just so you get kind of an overview. The first one says we agree to always be respectful, compassionate, loving, honest, and authentic in our thoughts, words, and actions, and communications. In doing so, we create a safe, loving, and supportive environment in which complete transparency is the norm. Vulnerability is honored, and where people are free to evolve physically, psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. We're having tech issues, but that's okay. So, just looking that over for another moment.
That one?
Or, no, the one you were just on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So that word always, that's our challenge there, right? But this, again, it's something we reach for. If we don't hit the mark, we talk, we apologize, we do better next time, we forgive one another. That's part of this agreement. And that's why we know we're in a safe and loving and supportive environment. Because we don't have to worry about having a bad day, saying the wrong thing, and having somebody excommunicate us or whatever, bump us out the door. It's not going to happen that way. Unless you choose to yourself, leave, which is also fine. The second agreement we made was we agree to take personal responsibility for our thoughts, words, and actions at all times. In doing so, we create a loving environment where spiritually mature individuals promote peace, joy, and celebration in all that we do. So that's what we're looking for. There isn't a point at which we are as mature as we're ever going to be. Okay, that's it. I'm perfectly emotionally mature now. I'm done. That doesn't happen. So we allow for that, and we again have a target that we shoot for. We agree to reverently seek Spirit's guidance when resolving conflict. In doing so, we trust that love is leading the way and that peace prevails. There's always resolution available as long as all parties are seeking resolution. We agree that we are consciously choosing to create a spiritual family. So this is our family by choice. In doing so, we're creating a space in which to belong and a place to call home. We agree to welcome all who come, gracefully honoring each individual as a unique child of God, accepting all faith paths and levels of awareness as a sacred part of the spiritual journey. We are all in our own little unique spot on our path. And that is as it should be. In doing so, we attract a vibrant group of diverse members who practice this teaching, this set of spiritual principles, to live in the consciousness of oneness each and every day. So that's our goal. Having a diverse group of members who come together but agree to practice these principles of love and compassion and acceptance.
And you've created that.
We have created that.
Well, I'm just saying,
We have
you've
created
done
that.
it, or we've done it.
We have done it. It was initially a vision that came through me, but a vision without family and support is just a vision. We agree to respect one another's personal space. In doing so, we create a comfortable community experience in which everyone feels safe and honored. So I'm a hugger, but I don't attack everybody that comes through the door. I wait, I feel, I assess, I ask, and if they say yes, I hug. So that kind of personal space. Another way of respecting that space is, somebody who's normally very interactive in the community kind of backs off and stays home for a few weeks. I check in, but I'm not invasive. I'd have no expectation that if someone is active this week here on site, that they're going to be active next week here on site. It's letting us flow with our own needs and our own lives. Someone called this a hub, the center a hub for us to check in, have community, strengthen ourselves, maybe gain some education, some sharings, make some friends, and then to go back out into our lives. And we all have our own lives. We agreed to live from a consciousness of wholeness and abundance. In doing so, we create personal lives and a spiritual home that are radiantly healthy and free from limitation of every kind. And that has been our experience since day one. So Mystic Heart's an independent spiritual community. We have no one to answer to as long as we're in alignment with the 501c3 for religious nonprofits, which we have and we hold to. 3 years ago, we started where we were, and much has changed in that time. So we're evolving as individuals, and we're evolving as an organization, and we're free to do so. We recognize that the times they are a-changin'. And so we stay flexible. Now that the COVID shutdown is behind us, we'll resume our quarterly co-creation gatherings. We started out with several weeks running to create the foundation for the center. And then we went to a monthly gathering, and then we went to a quarterly gathering, and shortly after that happened, then COVID shut us down and we weren't doing gatherings anymore. So we've only done one since then. Well, was that since COVID, or was it when we first got here? We've only done one in this space.
2.5 years ago.
Yeah, in this space anyway. So we will be reinstating those quarterly gatherings. Our next one is October 7th from 6 to 8:30. It'll be a dessert, wine and coffee and stuff, and then conversation, sort of about grounding ourselves where we are and looking ahead to our future. So you are all invited, should you choose to attend. So I'm going to close this conversational part with a prayer because we're getting on toward hungry time. And we have a huge spread again next door today. So join me in just anchoring yourself in this space, in this welcoming space. And know with me that Spirit's vision is unfolding here. The one and only source of all that is, the one essence and substance, the one creative process at work by means of each one of us, by means of this spiritual community. And so knowing that this is Spirit's vision unfolding, we open our hearts and our minds to all of the infinite possibility of what can be. We open our hearts and minds individually, what can be in our own lives. We open ourselves to what is seeking to happen through this community and in our greater community by means of us. And we just walk through every day completely open and listening for guidance and direction. I am so grateful for each and every one here listening today. Grateful for each and every member of the spiritual family, which is not only in this space, but is online and is on vacation and out. You know who you are. We see you all, we hear you, we love you. And I know that that love, as it is sent out, is grown and expanded and just continues to ripple out. And so we release this prayer in deep certainty that this is this is our family. We love so much having children here. We love so much having children here. We release this prayer just in full acceptance of the many gifts of this and every day, knowing that we are incredibly blessed. And we affirm and acknowledge this by saying together, and so it is. Amen. Let's see. Where were we? Okay. Get lost in there. So we take a moment now to offer the opportunity for you to share of your financial goods, should you choose to, with the work that we're doing here. But know that all that you do offer of time, talent, skill, treasure, love, contribution is gratefully received all the time. We are so well supported and have been from day one. We have a gracious giving program if you feel so inclined as to make a monthly commitment in support of, helping us find our budget and figure those things out. You can get more information online about that if you're interested. But as we prepare for our offering, I invite you to affirm with us that which is appearing by magic on the screen. Michael likes vacation. All right. As I awaken to the God within me and all around me, I see abundance everywhere I look. I consciously step into that flow of abundance by this act of giving. I offer this gift freely in the spirit of love, blessing and sending it forth to heal and prosper. It is evidence of my deep faith. It does good work in the world and blesses all of creation. I give from a consciousness of abundance. So it is. Amen. We've been doing videos lately, but Chris wrote some new words to an old song. So we're going to have some.
You might recognize the title. It's the same title as our
The
talk today.
Times They Are A-Changin.
So. Okay. Come gather round, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the spirit within you has grown, and accept it that soon divine truth you'll be shown through your prayer and your deep meditation. Your oneness with God will be thoroughly known, for the times they are a-changin'. Come seekers and mystics who journal with your pen, and let your heart open again and again. And all that you've done and all that you've been is forgiven, 'cause nobody's blaming. For the eyes of the Spirit cannot behold sin, for the times they are a-changin'. Come ministers, practitioners, please heed the call, and walk what you talk, or else don't talk at all. Your teaching inspires to climb or to crawl. There's no telling how far it's ranging. Stay woke and alert lest your consciousness fall, for the times they are a-changin'. Come mothers and fathers throughout the land, and learn how to love what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters aren't yours to command. They each need their own exploration. So support them and love them and lend them your hand, for the times they are a-changin'. The prayer has been prayed, the blessing is cast. The slow one now will later be fast, and the present now is soon to be past. The order is rapidly fading, and the first one now will later be last, for the times they are a-changin'. Yeah, the times they are a-changin'. Thank you very much. All right.
Switch hats.
Thank you. We are a heads-up group here. We just shift as needed. So please join me in this blessing for the offering, as we know that Spirit has provided us with great abundance, an abundance of joy, an abundance of love. And so we give thanks for the abundance that has traveled through your hands into our basket this morning, knowing that you trust us as wise stewards of your resources, of this beloved community's resources. And we give thanks for the work that it enables us to do, for this beautiful place that we have to meet, for the work that we're able to do out in the world, helping feed people that are not having enough food, and helping grow our community beyond these walls, but grow our greater community. So with thanks for each one, for the love that you give, the time that you give, the talent that you give, the treasure that you give, and the prayers that you give to Mystic Heart, we just say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And so it is. Amen.
All right, thanks for hanging in with us today. We went a little long because we had a lot of invitations, because we have a lot of things starting this month.
And besides, because you guys are good at conscious
That's
conversation.
right.
There it is.
So let's close with love be with you. Please consider joining us next door for an awesome lunch.
All together, hand in hand, we see the light, we take a stand, and we are changing. A whole new life for you and me. Take your past and set it free, and share this blessing. Love be with you, peace unfold you, Spirit lift you, breathe it in, truth come through you, may good flow to you, let joy renew you until we meet again. Love be with you, ooh, love be with you,
right, love you. Happy Sunday.
Enjoy this nice, cool afternoon.
Oh, yeah.